I finally finished all 23 full spreads in my Luchetti True Flat sketchbook. This is the same sketchbook that I reviewed a little while ago, and I'm pleased to report it served me really well and it got me excited to paint in a sketchbook again. For the rest of this video, I'm going to walk you through the final 8 spreads and the story behind each of them. Stay with me to see how this lay flat sketchbook held up to heavy washes of paint and enabled me to paint in various locations. So in this spread, I did a scene here of the doors at the local subway station. It happens to be the subway station at the 181st Street stop here in Washington Heights in Manhattan. I also have a painting hanging in the elevator there, so I was extra motivated to capture something from this station. And basically, I took a picture after I came out of the elevator. This one late afternoon day was just an amazing scene of light coming through the doors here, and I just loved the way the high contrast made it such a compelling moment. So I took a picture, and back at home I painted it, and it was fun to try to capture the wooden structures along with the high contrast shadowy areas. This next piece is also a vertical piece, and it shows a section of park by the 190th Street subway station. I'm between the 181st Street and 190th Street stations here. And this is the little ping pong plaza where there's a ping pong table, a few ping pong tables, and it's just outside the entrance to the A train at 190th Street. I also just wanted to capture the depth that I saw in that scene with the distant buildings in the background and the new blossoms of the spring flowers and just the bright time of morning that this was. So that's looking east towards the sunrise. This is another vertical piece, and it's actually a nighttime scene based on a picture I took at Fort Tryon Park, and I loved the dark, almost violet sky hidden behind this cloud, this mist behind the bare tree. So this is a scene from a recent fall. Here's that same plaza I just showed before in this scene, and the ping pong tables are over here, but this is another scene, similar time of day, early morning, where I loved the light that was coming through this iron gate, shining onto the park benches, and I loved just everything about it. I loved the shadows on the walls behind that's an apartment building. I loved how the lamp looked, and especially the look on the trees, the bark, and I tried to capture how that felt and how that early sunlight looked to me. This is a painting that I showed to students as an example of, even though we have a particular composition or a moment that I took a picture of, I purposely worked on this area here with the benches as my main focal point. So I spent a lot of time working out the details there and making that as precise as I needed, and everything else I kind of left unfinished in a way, and I used the rest of the painting to draw people in towards this more detailed part. Excuse my cat. He's interested in looking out the window that's right here, and I'm going to move him really quickly. This is a scene from Horseshoe Bay in Bermuda. I took a family trip there recently, and I took the opportunity to paint on the beach and capture the colors of the water there. I just knew that if I brought it back home in a picture and tried to paint it from home, it would be difficult for me to kind of capture the cool green color of the water. So I just decided to paint this on the spot there, and I like how it turned out. Excuse me. Here's another spread where it is an example of using analogous colors. And analogous colors is a concept that I explained in a recent video, but it's basically the technique of using colors that are next to each other on the color wheel to decide what your palette is. And I focused this painting on the violet range of colors. So most of the colors in this scene are derived from those 3 or 4 colors that sit adjacent to violet. This is Officers Row. It's an area in Fort Hancock at Sandy Hook, New Jersey. And it was a really great site where you can still see these old military barracks. And these structures are just pretty amazing. Many of them are dilapidated, but 1 second here. Someone likes the ribbon that comes with the sketchbook, so I'm going to move him. And then the last spread, well, this is actually the second to last one, as I'll explain in a second. But this spread ends the sketchbook. It's actually glued down to the cover. This is a scene from the Storm King Art Center, which is in upstate New York. We went there recently, and it's just an amazing place to stroll through. So many acres of grasslands and amazing trees and sculptures. It's a huge sculpture park with sculptures from many different famous artists like Maya Lin, Richard Serra, Andy Goldsworthy, and others. This happens to be called E=mc², and I was sitting under a huge tree looking out at this environment, and I loved the huge row of trees that were behind this sculpture. And I sat there while my family waited for me. It was sort of their Father's Day gift to me to allow me to take a moment from our family excursion and paint the scene in front of me. After that trip, the very next morning, I took one of my photos and turned it into this painting. And in the park, we were actually sitting, I was sitting over here. There was a bench here. I didn't include the bench, but that's where it would have been. And I was looking out this way at the sculpture. But I loved these huge trees that were in the park. They were all over the place, and I almost enjoyed looking at the trees as much as the sculptures. Coming from New York City, it's just such a pleasure to be able to walk around among these massive trees and to experience the green. It's just a great experience to be able to walk out in the open air. So that's the end of the sketchbook. You can see that there are actually 23 spreads that I completed. I love using this sketchbook specifically to create 2-page spreads of my paintings, and I hope that you enjoyed looking at my works in this sketchbook. I do have an affiliate link in the description below if you would like to get yourself one of these sketchbooks. I highly recommend them. They have made me enjoy painting again in a sketchbook. It's portable, it's protected, the paper is really thick, and it also, another benefit is that the no gutter actually allows me to paint over the entire spread, generally without any issues painting over the gutter. Sometimes it does leave marks, but the other great benefit is that I'm able to easily scan a spread and turn it into a print. And I have done that already with a few of these 2-page spreads. If you have any questions about that, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. If you're new to watercolor painting, I've prepared a 1-page chart of essential supplies to consider when getting started. Check out the link in the description below where you can download it for free. I'm Francis Shui. I'm a working artist based here in New York City. I love to share tips and tricks, especially from the point of view of somebody who started art later in life. Like, share, and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon. Until the next time, go and paint.